It's precisely 1:15. This is the news on Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News is edited by Danushka Madhavela, read by Sabrina Zawahir. The headlines. President Ranil Wickremesinghe to attend 10th World Water Forum in Indonesia. Court refuses injunction against Vijayadasa Rajapaksa. The COPE instructs the Consumer Affairs Authority to amend the Consumer Affairs Authority Act, which is being delayed by 19 years at present. Advisor to the President, Akhila Viraj Karyavasam, appointed as the new President of the Jatika Sevaka Sangamaya. The Fort Police Station has started investigations regarding the death threat imposed on State Minister Shehan Semasinghe. Sri Lanka Land Development Corporation has expedited the implementation of 7 special projects to reduce flooding in Colombo and its surrounding areas. And in world news, Xi and Putin push for political solution to Ukraine war. Now the local news in detail. President Ranil Wickremesinghe is scheduled to attend the 10th World Water Forum high-level meeting in Indonesia from the 18th to 20th of this month. President Wickremesinghe will join this forum following an invitation extended by Indonesian President Joko Widodo. During the visit, President Wickremesinghe will deliver a statement at the high-level forum on May 20th under the theme Water for Shared Prosperity, and will also engage in several bilateral meetings, including with President Widodo. Indonesia is set to host the 10th World Water Forum in Bali in partnership with the World Water Council. The theme of the forum will be Water for Shared Prosperity, presenting a critical opportunity to unite the nations in the pursuit of efficient and integrated strategies that ensure water prosperity for all. At the World Water Forum, leaders, experts, scholars, entrepreneurs, and policymakers will gather to share insights, experiences, and best practices on a spectrum of water-related topics. The United Nations, playing a pivotal role in global advocacy, will be present, bringing its experts to conduct discussions needed to mobilize collective action and foster international cooperation. The Colombo District Court today rejected the petition filed by Duminda Dissanayake seeking an interim injunction preventing Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa from functioning as the chairman and Kirti Udavatta as acting General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Accordingly, the Colombo District Court refused to issue an injunction restraining the party, its organizations and officials from acting on the decision taken to appoint Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa as the chairman and attorney-at-law Kirti Udavatta as the acting General Secretary of the SLFP. However, Colombo District Judge Sandun Vithana stated that the complaint has the opportunity to amend this plaint and confirm the facts for the relevant injunction. The district judge announced this order after considering a petition submitted by MP Duminda Dissanayake, who had been appointed as acting General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party by the party's factions supporting Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva. The Committee on Public Enterprises instructs the Consumer Affairs Authority to amend the Consumer Affairs Authority Act, which is being delayed by 19 years at present. The COPE was gathered under the leadership of MP Rohita Abhigunawardena recently. Secretary to the Ministry of Trade says that according to the present Act, they can only conduct raids only at retail business only. The Secretary said that the authority has no power to conduct raids at manufacturers or storage facilities. It is expected to amend the Act to get powers to raid and search all such areas. The Secretary added that the amendment process is now in final stage. This news is brought to you by Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing local news. Advisor to the President, Akhila Viraj Karyavasam, has been appointed as the new President of the Jatika Sevaka Sangamaya. This appointment was made at the JSS headquarters at Pitakote during the 2024 annual general meeting held today. Addressing the gathering, the new chairman said that he will be committed to conduct the activities of the JSS with full transparency. Indika Pushpakumara was appointed as the secretary of the JSS. Sujiva Sampath from Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation has been appointed as an assistant secretary. The Fort Police Station has started investigations regarding the death threat imposed on State Minister Shehan Semasinghe. He received telephone calls to his office last evening with death threats. The caller have threatened the minister that they will not let the minister to compete the upcoming election activities. The police is conducting investigations to find the telephone number of the caller to nab the person who called them. That ends local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Vedamahatmya.
Sri Lanka Land Development Corporation has expedited the implementation of 7 special projects to reduce flooding in Colombo and its surrounding areas. Urban Development and Housing Minister Prasanna Ranatunga said that the plan to reduce flood risk in Colombo and its suburbs is being implemented under 3 phases as short-term, medium-term and long-term projects. Improvement of flood mitigation outside Colombo, urban landscape development, Palangastudawa pumping station construction project, flood control facilities, implementation and maintenance projects including rainwater pumping stations and floodgates maintenance of integrated flood management systems, flood mitigation project in Piliyandala, and the irrigation and environmental improvement program of the Battaramulla water catchment area, which is the upper water catchment area around Parliament, are included in the 7 projects. That came to you in main news.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, pediatrician Dr. Deepal Pereira says there is a 3 to 15% chance that a child can die due to electrocution. He warned that it can affect the heart, it can affect the brain. That means it can damage the nervous system. The heart rate can change. We call it arrhythmia. Things like that can happen. Fainting, loss of consciousness and even death can occur. Therefore, he stressed that it is the duty of adults to immediately rush them to hospital when such incidents occur, as well as to prevent such situations from arising. That came to you in Watchlight. Moving on to world news, taking a look at the headlines of the world news. Xi and Putin push for political solution to Ukraine war. India backs port deal with Iran after US caution. Blinken announces additional military aid to Ukraine. Now the world news in detail. Russian President Vladimir Putin has arrived in Beijing, where he is currently meeting his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping. This is Putin's first international visit since the start of his unprecedented 5th presidential term following an election where he ran virtually unopposed. The meeting, the third in just over a year, comes as Russia's invasion of Ukraine has raged on for more than 2 years. Russia has faced hundreds of sanctions from the US and its Western allies that aim to cripple Moscow's war machine and has looked to China as a lifeline amid the sanctions. Beijing has been accused of aiding Moscow's war by supplying tech and components, but China says none of this is lethal and also have commercial applications. India has urged the US not to take a narrow view of its port agreement with Iran, a day after Washington warned that countries doing business deals with Tehran risked sanctions. On Monday, India signed a 10-year deal with Iran to develop the strategically important Chabahar port. The US said any country considering business deals with Iran needs to be aware of the potential risks. But Delhi has backed the move and said the agreement would benefit the region. Mr. Jaishankar added that in the past the US too had been appreciative of the fact that Chabahar has a larger relevance and that a long-term agreement with Iran was necessary to improve the port's operations. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has announced an additional $2 billion in aid for Ukraine. Blinken told Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmitry Kuleba during a press conference on Wednesday in Kiev that U.S. officials are rushing to deliver weapons and ammunition to protect soldiers and civilians. He added that he is focused on providing the troops with Patriot missiles and other forms of air defense. He said the aid is coming at a critical time, with Russian troops pressing deeper into the eastern region of Kharkiv. He added that the assistance will also help the Ukrainians produce more of the things they need and buy military equipment from other countries. Blinken added that the two sides are working to finalize an agreement to provide Ukrainians with assistance over the next decade. He said they want to develop forces that can deter and defend against aggression. He expects U.S. President Joe Biden and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to meet in the weeks ahead to sign the deal. That ends World News. Prior to concluding, the headlines of the World News once again. Xi and Putin push for political solution to Ukraine war. India backs port deal with Iran after U.S. caution. Blinken announces additional military aid to Ukraine. That ends World News.
Development News.
The Central Bank of Sri Lanka says that the merchandise trade deficit narrowed in March 2024, supported by a notable improvement in export earnings, the highest earnings recorded since August 2022. The services sector also recorded a notable net inflow in March 2024, mainly from tourism, while sizable inflows were recorded in terms of sea transport services as well. Workers' remittances remained elevated in March 2024, in line with the seasonal trend. Foreign investments in the Colombo Stock Exchange and the government securities market recorded monthly net outflows in March 2024. Gross official reserves stood at US $5.0 billion by end March 2024, a notable increase compared to the US $4.4 billion as at end 2023. That came to you in Development News.
Moving on with sports news.
Ben Stokes will make his first appearance for Durham in the county championship since May 2022 against Lancashire this week as he steps up his return as an all-rounder. The England Test captain's last competitive match came in the final match of the Tour of India at the start of March. Having pulled out of the IPL, Stokes subsequently made himself unavailable for the next month's T20 World Cup to ensure he can play a full part in the Test summer with bat and ball, following surgery in November to clear out a troublesome left knee that prevented him from doing the latter. With almost 2 months to go before the first Test against West Indies, which begins at Lord's on July 10th, Stokes will begin his tune-up at Blackpool on Friday. That was Sports News.
Go ekatiyana youth ekat life eke change ekat niyamata set wenna as wahagena dakapu hina habe karanna youth ekat niyamata set wenna friendship එක menna.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account. NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Sri Lanka will be the first set of destinations to be served by Emirates A350 aircraft entering service in September 2024. The airline announced that Emirates' fourth daily service to Colombo will be served by the A350 from 1st January 2025. With 10 new A350s expected to join the Emirates fleet by 31st March 2025, the airline plans to deploy its latest aircraft type to 9 destinations in the coming months, offering customers its latest signature cabin experiences. These first 10 Emirates A350 aircraft will offer 3 cabin classes with 32 next-generation business class seats, 21 seats in Premier Economy and 259 generously pitched economy class seats. All of these aircraft are earmarked to serve short to medium-haul cities on the Emirates network, with Bahrain as its inaugural destination. That was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Moving on to economic news, Sampat Bank posted a profit before tax of 6.2 billion rupees and a profit after tax of 3.4 billion rupees for the 3 months ended March 31st, 2024, notwithstanding an exchange loss of 4.3 billion rupees due to the appreciation of the Sri Lankan rupee against the USD by 23.70 rupees. These figures signify growth rates of 39.1% and 27.8% respectively in comparison to the financial results reported in the first quarter of 2023. The Sampat Group also reported PBT and PAT figures of 6.9 billion rupees and 3.8 billion rupees respectively, reflecting growth rates of 38.0% and 26.0%. That was economic news.
Weather report.
Finally, we take a look at the weather report. The low-level atmospheric disturbance still persists in the vicinity of the island. Therefore, the prevailing showery condition is expected to be continued further. Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in most provinces of the island. After 1 p.m., heavy showers about 100 millimeters are likely at some places in western, central, Sabaragamuwa and Uva provinces. That was the weather report. Prior to concluding this bulletin of news, the headlines once again. President Ranil Wickremesinghe to attend 10th World Water Forum in Indonesia. Court refuses injunction against Vijayadasa Rajapaksa. The COPE instructs the Consumer Affairs Authority to amend the Consumer Affairs Authority Act, which is being delayed by 19 years at present. Advisor to the President, Akila Viraj Karyavasam, appointed as the new president of the Jatika Sevaka Sangamaya. The Fort Police Station has started investigations regarding the death threat imposed on State Minister Shehan Semasinghe. Sri Lanka Land Development Corporation has expedited the implementation of 7 special projects to reduce flooding in Colombo and its surrounding areas. With that, we conclude the news, and over to my friend, and certainly yours is all geared up to keep you entertained with a wonderful collection of music. Over to you, Ramesh.